Good evening, everyone. This is Lynn Grabowski, and thank you for joining us on our Xseed training call tonight, the night before Thanksgiving. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight because I'm sure you have a lot of family arriving and have a lot of things going on. And I'll make the call short tonight, but I want to really remind you that part of our Xseed business and success in our business is sharing it with others. And when we share it with others, we make sure that it isn't about sales. You see, no one likes to be sold, but people love to share their needs. People love to feel like you're listening to what they need. People like to tell their story more than they like to listen to your story. So tonight's training is going to be about how to associate and communicate with the people that you'll be seeing this weekend so that they're open and receptive to what you have to offer. Because you see, if it is to be, it's up to me. I want to start off tonight's training by sharing with you a poem, and it is called It's Up to Me. It's written by a man by the name of James J. Metcalf. And It's Up to Me is this. I get discouraged now and then when there are clouds of gray until I think about the things that happened yesterday. I do not mean the day before or those of months ago, but all the yesterdays in which I had the chance to grow. I think of opportunities that I allowed to die and those I took advantage of before they passed me by. And I remember that the past presented quite a plight, but somehow I endured it and the future seemed all right. And I remind myself that I am capable and free, and my success and happiness are really up to me. So as we give thanks on this Thanksgiving weekend and as we're around our family, I want you to think of your image. How does your family think of you? Do they think of you as the guy or gal that's just trying to sell them something new that you're doing this year? That's not the image that you want to create at all. The image that you want to create is that image of someone who truly cares. So instead of telling them so much about what you're doing, be sure to ask them what they're doing. Be sure to ask them what's going on in their life. Be a great listener. Some of the most successful people in the world today are successful because they learned how to listen. My saying, and I know you've probably heard not only me, but many people say it before, is there's a reason that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, because we should be listening twice as much as we're talking. And when you think of that image of yourself, make sure that that image of yourself is the image of love, of gratefulness. Make sure that image is a person of caring and giving. You know, if you've listened to the morning calls this week, you've heard me talk a lot about the word Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is not about just giving thanks. It's about giving. It's about sharing. It's about letting people know that you care. So although we are all so grateful for everything that we have and everything that we're blessed with, we want to make sure that we also are blessing those that may be less fortunate. As I did some shopping today, the last-minute grocery shopping for the weekend, and I looked at the street corners with so many homeless people, and I looked at those people thinking, wonder where they're going to be tomorrow. I wonder where their family is. I wonder what they're going to do. And, you know, it just makes your heart feel heavy to know that there are so many people that really don't know what hope is. They've lost their faith. They've lost their faith in society, and many of them have lost their faith in God, and that's why they end up where they're at. So as you think of your image, I want to just suggest a couple of things to you. I want to tell you a couple stories that I feel might really touch your heart like they've touched mine. You see, many, many years ago, I was studying The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. and also you might know his book, Think and Grow Rich. And I've been touched by both of those books so much. I've lived my life by them. And one of Napoleon Hill's most famous apprentices is a man by the name of Bob Proctor. And if you've ever watched the movie The Secret, you've probably seen Bob Proctor or you've heard him speak. And Bob Proctor has a great book called You Were Born Rich. When I became a life coach and a life success coach, I became a life success coach with Bob Proctor's organization. That's where my certification came from. And You Were Born Rich, his first international bestseller, was a gift that I gave to every single person that I came in contact with, family, friends, and clients. And one of the stories that I feel is really relevant to where we're at right now in our training of our business and in creating an image for yourself that is looked at as someone who everyone wants to do business with is probably, as I said, the most important part of your success. When people say, I trust he or she, they say, I love being around them. They give me joy. They bring me happiness. It feels so great to be in their presence. I know I can trust them. They have integrity. I really enjoy them. That's what you want them to hear. That's what you want them to say, and that's what you want to hear. So one of the stories that I want to share with you is called The Minister and the Farmer. And the story will illustrate how important it is to have an image, a good image, of what people think of you. Many years ago, a minister was driving along a remote country road when he happened upon a beautiful farm. The farm was kept in absolute magnificent condition. The fences were well cared for, the crops were a radiant green, and although the house was set back some distance from the road, it was abundantly clear that it had a clean, fresh coat of white paint on it. Well-cultivated flower beds encircled the house and stretched all along both sides of the long, wide driveway, leading to it from the road. In a neat row along both sides of the drive as well were straight lines of tall green poplar trees reaching up to the pale blue sky. The lawn surrounding the house was a deep, rich green and as well manicured as any putting green ever was. Indeed, the entire picture would have fit well on a postcard, since it was absolutely breathtaking in its splendor. Then the minister looked up to his right, to the other side of the road. Here the fields were plowed. The earth was the deepest black the minister had ever seen, and he was amazed at how the furrows had been plowed in such a way that they stretched out in rows as straight as clotheslines. Far off in the distance, the minister could see the farmer sitting up on his tractor with a straw hat on his back of his head and clad in an old light blue pair of overalls. It appeared that the farmer was moving toward the road as he was plowing. Since the minister was in no particular hurry, he pulled his car over to the side of the road, got out of it, and walked toward the fence. When he reached it, he just stood still, enjoying the light breeze and warm sunlight and admiring the beauty of the farm and the farmer's ability to plow such straight furrows. As the farmer worked his way toward the road, he noticed the minister leaning against the fence. So he brought the tractor to a halt, climbed down from it, and slowly started to walk in the minister's direction. As the farmer got closer, the minister smiled, raised his arms, waving and saying, "My good man, God has certainly blessed you with a beautiful farm." The farmer stopped, pulled out an old red and white polka dot handkerchief from his pocket with his big, scarred and calloused hands. He raised his arm and wiped the sweat from his sun-scorched brow, still not saying a word. Then he reached up with his other hand and gently took from his mouth a long piece of straw that had been bouncing and waving as he walked. He stood in silence for a moment, looking at the minister, and then he spoke. With a slow, steady voice, he replied, Yes, Reverend, you're right. God has blessed me with a beautiful farm, but I just wish you could have seen it when he had it all to himself. Understand that images are mental pictures that are made from thoughts, and the magnificence of the mind lies in the fact that it can think. That is to say, it can tap into the thought and create whatever image it chooses. Now play with your mind for a few minutes and become aware of how you can flash one picture or image after another on the screen in your mind. It's almost as if you were sitting inside your body at a great theater and you are the writer, producer, and director of the movie you are watching. So think of this. Think of the first man that built a chair. How do you think that the man saw that chair? Why would he build a chair? And how did he know to put 4 legs on it instead of 3 or 2? Well, of course, because he realized that it couldn't stand up with only 2. Realize that when you go to the movie, that's someone's interpretation of something that they saw, that they envisioned. Realize that your personal prosperity, realize that your personal image, realize that your personality is something that you have complete control over. And what does it take? It takes persistence. In that book Napoleon Hill wrote called Think and Grow Rich, there is a chapter on persistence. And in that chapter he said, there may be no heroic connotation to the word perseverance, but the character is the quality of the man that can carbon it into steel. You know, Thomas Edison was a great example of that in trying to create the light bulb over 1,000 times before it was finally created to light up our world. And when you think of the image of Thomas Edison, what do you think of? You think of a brilliant man who has lit up your life with the light bulb. When you think of Henry Ford, what do you think of? What's your image? Your image of Henry Ford is, what a brilliant man. He came up with the idea of the automobile. So when you think of yourself, what is your image? What do you want your family and friends to say about you when they leave Thanksgiving weekend? What do you want your image to be to your coworkers? What do you want your image to be to your success line in your Xseed business? You see, for me, my image is important. I want my success line in my Xseed business to look at me and know I am there for them 110%, that I am there to help them and to train them and to be there for them. Have you done that with your Xseed downline, with your Xseed success line? Because they're counting on you. And just because they made an order and ordered a package, it doesn't mean that it's over. It means it's only just begun. It means you made them a promise that if they made that purchase that you were going to help them build a business. How often do you call them? How often do you connect with them? What are you doing as follow-up? And are you teaching them to do the same thing? Are you teaching them how important their image is, how important their follow-up with their people are? As we approach this new year and Xseed is going to be growing and expanding their product line, we're going to have more and more opportunities to make new friends and new acquaintances and have people that are going to really, really want what we're about to introduce. So now's the perfect time to get your ducks in order, to get your image in order, to start that place right now where people say, I love being around he or she. They make me feel great because they care about me. They want to know how they can help me. They want to know what they can do for me. So your call to action for this week and for the remainder of this week, and as well as all through the holidays of Christmas and New Year's, is to remember what your image is. And I'd like for you to take a piece of paper, and I would like for you to write down how you see yourself. Kind, loving, caring, gentle. Or do you see yourself as aggressive and overwhelming and gripey and whiny? Because if any of those things come to mind, get rid of them and replace them with a positive. It is vitally important that you stay in a positive place. The world is a negative place, and we need to create positivity around us at all times. So your image is a reflection of you, but in changing your image and caring about others, you're going to see that you help them change their image as well. And pretty soon, your Xseed group, as well as your own family members, will be living in a place of such amazing wealth because, number one, you have your health. Number two, you have your friends and your family that want and choose to be around you because you are the kind of person that people love to be around. Have a very blessed Thanksgiving. We won't be doing any more calls this week, but we will be back Monday morning for our Xseed Everyday call, as well as our Tuesday and Thursday opportunity calls next week, as well as our Wednesday night training. And I have some great things planned for the upcoming weeks, so don't miss any calls. Have a great evening, everyone. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you Monday morning. Bye now.